Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing a watch from a brand that I have to admit I love deeply. I'm into independence these days. I like the soul and the personal experience that comes with a smaller brand. I like the fact that a lot of independents are profoundly distinct in the way they tell time, regard their clients, and develop their products. And this watch is about as different gets. This is the HYT H4 Neo 2. New for 2019, the watch is part of the H4 collection with internal dynamo dynamic lighting that bowed back in 2015. The watch is being made in a series of 15 pieces, as you see here. This is known as the Neo 2 or the Multicolor because HYT has a color series of H4 models this year, and this one incorporates the colors from all of the distinct variants of the color series. It's a little bit like the combined classification jersey at the Vuelta a España bike race. Now on my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see it's a big piece. A DLC blackened 51mm titanium, so though it's a huge watch, no joke, the watch does wear light. In titanium, I'd say it feels like a standard 42 to 43mm stainless steel timepiece. The watch is broad, no joke, across the lugs. I'm measuring this one 57.3mm, and it's fairly thick at 18mm. You're not going to cuff this one underneath the sleeve, but then again, it's not really for that. I would say overall, you probably want to wrist at least 17 centimeters in circumference to tackle this bad boy, but it is very comfortable. I'll give them that. The timepiece is large, but it's not in charge of your wrist. The timepiece has a lovely strap that's well integrated, so you get an all-of-a-piece sort of Gerald Genta 70s look, whereby there's an integration of strap or bracelet end and lug profile. One flows seamlessly into the other. Externally, it's a very durable textile, a little bit like the sailcloth you get on a Blancpain 50 Fathoms, with a thick natural vulcanized rubber, and you can see HYT sweating the details all the time with a logo on the underside as well as hollows to allow a little air pocket to vent the wrist on a hot day. You can see that the strap itself has a lot of material, so this is not going to tear or age. This has every indication of being a half-decade strap. There is a little trigger system that is built into the clasp, which you can see is also DLC coated, diamond-like carbon, blackened titanium. There is a twin trigger release system, and note how there's even a relieved facing to the side of the buckle. Every single detail has been self-consciously designed, right down to the micro adjustment system. You can see there is actually a trigger, and then there is a slider, so you have the ability to make about, I would say, 5 to 7mm of incremental adjustment just by pressing a trigger and releasing the interior clasp, so you really can fine-tune on a hot day. This watch with a screw-down crown and 50-meter water resistance is suitable for surface swimming, so HYT built a little bit of consideration for those times when you are going to be expanding your wrist with vigor and activity. The side of the case is nicely evacuated to break up the shear of it, and there is a lot of material. HYT hollowed out the flanks, and you can see there's even a biplanar hollowing, as the lugs themselves are a little bit deeper than the case flank. There's a contrast between polished DLC, as you can see, and satin finish, and it's true. If you've followed custom choppers, you know that black on black can be contrast if one is matte and one is gloss. There's a lot of that in the custom hot rod and chopper industry, and it looks like HYT is up on its studies. Now, the dial side of the watch is probably going to be the most unconventional aspect for a lot of folks, because first it's a regulator. You have a display of seconds, you have a display of minutes on a lovely little composite disc, and then you have a set of fluids that are actually immiscible, and thus the meniscus between them becomes the mark of the hours. You can see how 12 hours are gradiated around the dial. Well, as the hours advance and each circuit of that minutes display is 1 hour, you can see that the green fluid, and again it's immiscible, it can never mix with the clear fluid on the other side, it advances along a track. So this is a regulator style display with seconds, minutes, and hours separated. Right at 2:30 you can see that there is a power reserve. It's all red right now, which means the watch is fully wound. And when the green fluid reaches the end of the first 12 hours of the day, you can see how it immediately retrogrades. So this is a regulator and a retrograde system, and a very easy one to read. You can also see that the Sapphire itself has a dramatic camber. This is an expensive way to spec a Sapphire with a box section and a domed profile, but HYT HYT sparing no expense here on the details. They are a wonderful design house. They rethink not just the telling of time, but also how watches should be detailed, and they tend to err on the side of fun. You can see through the clear sapphires and composite of the dial that there is a track underneath representing the movement side of the watch, and the movement is surprisingly conventional, not in the sense that it is not impressively spec'd, but that you might not expect to see mechanical watchmaking in a timepiece like this. You could see the bridges with a lovely satin finish, black polished screws, and you could see the upper and lower portions of the movement in different color. You have a sort of a DLC coating on the top and then silvered Cote de Genève on the bottom. Note that there are twin bellows. The twin bellows hold the two different liquids. One is green, one is the clear, and they push each other in a push-me-pull-you arrangement, with the mechanical watchmaking, that is the conventional Swiss lever, acting as a pump for the system. You can see the full balance bridge allows the balance to beat away and also be braced well against shock while adding rigidity to the movement. 35 joules, 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has a 65-hour power reserve, and of course there is a power reserve scale on the dial side. It will change color from red as it begins to discharge itself. Now I'm going to jump to the chase because the H4 Neo 2 has one of the coolest lighting systems you will ever encounter. I should mention that the lighting system is part of the movement architecture. You wind it up mechanically. The energy is held by a spring, and then it's discharged into a dynamo that activates two purple LEDs. So though it's a dynamic lighting system, there are no batteries involved in this. There are absolutely no electronics that are not wound by your own hand inside this timepiece. It's going to glow like a torch, and I mean an absolute Molotov cocktail when we go to the loom shot. What else should you know about the watch? Well, if you enjoy these watches, check out HYTwatches.com and see the full range. They have lugless watches for small wrists. They have precious metal watches for fashionista. They have all manner of limited editions for those with truly niche tastes. They make very few watches out of their Neuchâtel, Switzerland manufacture, so you're guaranteed exclusivity. And of course, they work with top-flight movement suppliers like Chronode in the case of this HYT caliber, which is the 401, and also Audemars Piguet Renoir Papy for some of the higher mech pieces. Now, you can see this timepiece on HYTwatches.com. Drop me a line at mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com if you're interested in one of these pieces. I want to see the brand succeed. They're doing everything right. So that's how things start with the HYT H4 Neo 2, and that's what happens. 5 seconds of loom from the two purple LEDs every time you activate the dynamo. And yes, I tried. You can actually use this to navigate around a perfectly dark room.